Hi, I'm Fine Montasir, and I'm here to explain how websites are made and how they work. Okay, so we all know that there are two main types of websites. They are static and dynamic. Static websites do not have the ability to communicate with a server. What does this mean? Simply put, it means you cannot log in, send messages, or publish posts like you do on Facebook. You can only read the paid content. Nowadays, static websites are rare, but you still find static web pages on many company websites. For instance, the About Us page of a company is often static. So, how static websites are made? Static websites use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what is HTML? HTML is the foundational of all websites. It structures the content on the web page by using various tags and elements. For example, we all know the H1 tags for headings, paragraph tags and link tags, anchor tags for links. Then there is a CSS. CSS is used to style the HTML content. It controls the layout, color, fonts, and overall looks and feel. And there are some limited use case of JavaScript, and JavaScript adds interactivity to static websites. Static websites often it can be used for simple functionalities like from validation, image sliders, or interactive math. However, static website, it's used in generally minimal. Now comes the most interesting parts: dynamic websites. Dynamic websites are most common nowadays because they can fulfill our interactive needs. And how? Interactive interaction with features or other users. Dynamic websites allow users to log in, comment, post, and interact with other users. Storing data in the server, they can save user data, preferences, and history on the server, like what we see in the Facebook. They store our profile picture, cover pictures, real-time communication. Facebook features like Facebook Messengers enable real-time chatting, showing how dynamic websites can provide instant updates and communication. Okay. Now, how dynamic websites work behind the scene. So there's a front end. The front end is what users see and interact with their web browsers. It's built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or JavaScript frameworks like React, Angular, or Vue, etc. The front end sends requests to the server through API that displays data received by the backend. So backend, the server side, is where the server-side logic lives. It builds with programming languages like JavaScript, Python, Ruby, Java, or PHP. The backend handles requests from the front end. From the front end, process them and communicate with the database. To store or retrieve data. And there's comes database. Database like SQL database uses structured query language for defining and manipulating data. And there's a new database called NoSQL. MongoDB database. We store data in more flexible and non-tabular format. Okay, so putting all this together, when we interact with the dynamic website, first the front end sends a request via API to the backend server, and the backend processes the request, possibly interacting with the database. The backend sends the response back to the front end, and the front end updates the user interface based on the response. This cycle allows dynamic websites to offer rich interactive experience that can adapt user input and provide real-time updates. So how are dynamic websites made? For the front-end part, what we see through our browsers, they mostly are the same as static websites. HTML, CSS, there's a framework, Tailwind CSS, which is a CSS framework, and JavaScript. And to make complex front-end application, we use React.js. And React.js is a JavaScript. React.js is a JavaScript library for building user interface. It allows developers to create reusable UI components and images, manage the state of complex functionality. To managing complex functionality, we use Redux with React. And there's a new framework, React.js framework. It's called Next.js. It's a React.js framework that enables server-side rendering and static site generation and improve the SEO also. There's other frameworks, front-end frameworks like Angular, Vue, Selvit, which is new in this stack. And there's other things like server-side. For server-side, we use JavaScript, so JavaScript Node.js. Specifically, Node.js is runtime development that allows JavaScript to be used for server-side scripting. It's known for the scalability and non-blocking features, non-blocking input-output operations. There's other framework, Django, based on Python, which is a high-level Python web framework that encourages rapid development and clean, optimistic design, programmatic design, and includes ORM, admin interface, and robust security features on Django. There's also Flux, which is also a lightweight framework in Python. And you have other frameworks like Laravel, which is a popular framework in development PHP. Okay, now comes databases. Databases like MySQL is a popular database management system for reliability and performance. It uses SQL querying and managing data. PostgreSQL, which is also a SQL database, relational database, and MongoDB. We have MongoDB, Firebase Firestore, which is non-relational database. Firebase Firestore is NoSQL, cloud database that simplifies backend development by providing real-time data synchronization and offline support. So it's interesting. There are some exception though. Some websites use services like Firebase or AWS Simplify to avoid the complexity of maintaining servers and databases. These platforms provide managed services, allowing developers to focus more on building user interfaces using React Next.js sort of frameworks. Okay. Okay, how to put websites on the internet? Yeah, it's an interesting part. At first, we have to register a domain. We can purchase a domain name from providers like Namecheap, Hostinger, or others. A domain name is the address, what we see in the browser tab bar, and what we type to access others' website. Then we have to purchase a hosting plan. We can buy a hosting plan to host our server and databases. There are several types available, like VPS, virtual private server, provides a dedicated portion of its physical server, giving you more control and resources than shared hosting. And Droplet, which is same to VPS but offered by providers like DigitalOcean. And there's the popular one, shared hosting in our country. Multiple servers share the same server's resources. It's cost effective. That's why people choose more in our country, and managed by a control panel. So it's easy to manage by control panels like cPanel. Okay. And there's also managed hosting. The hosting provider manage all the servers for you, handling maintenance, updates, and security, like what we saw on the last slide, like Firebase, AWS Simplify. There's also Netlify, and others platform as well, which provides managed hosting. Okay, then come connect hosting with your domain. We have to update the DNS settings of our domain to point out a hosting provider servers. This process ensures that when users type our domain name, they are directed to the websites. And finally, deploy our website. Upload our website files to our hosting provider. This can be done through FTP client or a control panel or a deployment tools. Once uploaded, your website will be available on the internet. Okay, so by following these steps and understanding the component involved, you can deploy dynamic websites that can offer rich interactive experiences for users. Okay, that's the interesting part. Finally, be careful about cyber attacks. Your website can be a victim of various cyber threats, including DDoS, distributed denial of service. DDoS attacks overwhelm your server with a flood of traffic, crushing your websites to become slow or unavailable on the internet. Attackers use multiple systems to generate this traffic, making it difficult to block the source. SQL injection. SQL injection involves inserting malicious SQL code into your database queries via input fields like forms. This can allow attackers to manipulate your database, steal data, or even delete important information. Accesses. Cross-site scripting. Attacks occur when attackers inject malicious script into web pages viewed by other users. This can lead to data theft, session hacking, or defacement of your website. And phishing, the common one. Phishing involves tricking users into providing sensitive information like username or passwords or email by pretending to be a trustworthy entity, usually via email or fake web pages. Man-in-the-middle attack. MITM attacks intercept and potentially alter communication between two parties without their knowledge. This can lead to the data theft or manipulation. Okay, how can you protect our websites? Yeah, we can protect our website by using firewall. And firewalls act as a barrier between your internal network and the internet, filtering out malicious traffics and preventing unauthorized access, using rate limiter to our APIs that reduce the risks of DDoS attacks, implementing authentication, use multi-factor authentication to add an extra layer of security, and using HTTPS. Obviously, nowadays most of the websites are using HTTPS. So HTTPS secure your website with the HTTPS to encrypt data transmission between the users and browsers and your servers, protecting from intercepting and tampering, which means eliminating man-in-the-middle attacks. Okay, validating and sanitizing users' input that ensures prevent accesses attacks and SQL injections. Regular security audits. Conduct regular security audits, that vulnerability assessments to identify and fix potential security issues before attackers can exploit them. And keep software up to date. Implement content security policy and data backup. You need to backup your data regularly. So regularly backupping your data helps your website and database to ensure that you can quickly restore your site in case of cyber attacks or data loss. Okay, so in conclusion, we can say always be vigilant, always be careful about these attacks, and implement robust security measures to protect your website. And cybersecurity is an ongoing process now, and staying informed about the latest trends and solution is crucial to maintain a secure web presence. Okay, that's all about like how websites are made and how you can maintain your website.